Hey, so this is something that happened to my brother and his family back in 2015. They had just moved back to the States from overseas, trying to start fresh. He found this new apartment complex that had just been built. I remember him saying it felt like a lucky deal at the time. The place was huge, modern, and way cheaper than similar ones in that area. Like, almost too good to be true. Anyway, my mum decided to move in with them for a while to help with the kids. They were settling in fine at first, the usual unpacking, furniture set up, getting used to the place. Everything felt normal for the first few days. But then, little things started happening. At first, it was just the kids. You know how kids get. Overactive imagination, especially in a new place. But these weren't just silly ghost stories or nightmares. My niece started refusing to go into the kitchen alone. Said it felt like someone was always walking behind her, following her. And my nephew swore up and down that he heard someone crying from the guest bathroom, a place they didn't even use and had turned into a storage room. It wasn't just the kids either. One night, my sister-in-law, let's call her Sarah, was walking past her in-law's bedroom around 2:30 in the morning. She stopped because she thought she heard her mother-in-law calling her name. It sounded like she was asking her to come in and talk, which was weird because it was the middle of the night and their relationship was always respectful. Not the kind where you just burst into someone's room uninvited. Sarah hesitated, but when she peeked inside, no one was there. Just complete silence. A few hours later, she asked her mother-in-law about it, and the woman swore she'd been asleep since 11. Hadn't called her. Didn't even wake up till dawn. And that's when things started escalating. There were these shadows that would dart past doorways, whispering at odd hours, doors creaking open on their own. Not slowly, but like someone was actively walking in. And that crying sound from the guest bathroom. It got louder and more desperate, like a woman sobbing, screaming for help. Sometimes they could hear a child crying too. They thought it was coming from the vents, or maybe someone in the building, so they called security. But security told them no one else was living on the floor beneath them. It hadn't even been rented out yet. Still, the crying wouldn't stop. In fact, it got worse. Then the sickness started. First the kids, high fevers, fatigue, and just this dull, empty look in their eyes. One of them even started sleepwalking. Then my brother got sick too. It wasn't just colds or the flu. We're talking sudden, sharp health issues. He was in and out of urgent care so many times that year. They brought in a priest eventually, a local one someone recommended. After walking through the place, he straight up told them something dark had attached itself to the apartment. He said it didn't feel like a passing energy. It had made that place its home. But here's where things get really disturbing. When they finally decided to move out, after almost a year of this, they were cleaning out the apartment. There was this one small closet they barely used. It had been meant as a utility space, but they'd just stuffed it with boxes and old winter coats. When they pulled everything out, in the far corner, shoved behind some boxes, they found this old medical folder. Inside were hospital documents belonging to a man who'd apparently lived there before them. And it turned out he died. Not just died, but passed away from a long, painful illness. When they confronted the landlord about it, he got defensive at first, but eventually admitted, kind of casually, that the apartment had been used for religious practices by a previous tenant. Something about spiritual altars, statues, rituals. He never confirmed anything, but from the way he talked about it, you could tell something wasn't right. and then he said something that stuck with them. "It's good you're leaving. The last family got sick too." 8 years later, my brother and I still talk about that place sometimes. My mum swears she saw something standing at the end of the hallway once, but was too afraid to say anything. None of them ever went back. And that apartment? Still listed for rent online, way under market value. If you ever see a place like that, brand new, great price, quiet neighborhood, maybe ask why no one else wants it. So, I've got another one I wanted to share. This happened a few years back, before I moved to the States. I'm originally from Mumbai, India. My parents still live there, in this small flat in a colony of about 20 apartment buildings in Kurla. We moved into that flat sometime around the early 2000s when I had just started college. The apartment itself was fine, nothing unusual about it. But the flat directly below us, that's where things got strange. At first, it was just another quiet unit, but one morning, we noticed a group of neighbors gathered right outside that downstairs flat. My mum asked what was going on, and someone said, "A man in there. He hung himself." That shook us. It's not something you hear often, especially in that community. A suicide like that? It just didn't happen. My mum peeked in through the window, and yeah, there he was, hanging by an electrical cord from the ceiling fan. He'd been alone for a while. The rest of his family had gone back to their village, leaving him behind. Then it got weirder. We found out later that when police entered the apartment, it was locked from the outside. Same with the room he died in, locked from the outside too. That raised suspicions. Was it suicide or murder? Nobody really followed up. Within a year, the place was sold. It changed hands a few more times, and eventually, the current owner started renting it out. Around then, one of my aunts, a widow with a few kids, was looking for a place. My mum told her about the downstairs flat, but also warned her about what had happened there. She said she wasn't worried. She prayed regularly and believed faith would protect them. For the first few months, everything seemed normal. Then one day, my aunt came upstairs and told my mum, "Something's not right down there, especially near the bedroom and bathroom. I feel it, like someone's always watching me." She said she heard things when she was alone. Footsteps, shifting shadows, sometimes even breathing. Her kids got sick a lot. Money problems started piling up. After barely 5 months, she told my mom, "I don't care about the deposit. I need to get out." She moved out quickly, and after that, we kind of lost track of what was going on in that unit. Until years later, right before my wedding. We needed extra space for guests, and of course, the only flat available was that same one downstairs. My mum didn't want to take it, but with my grandma being elderly and needing her own space, we didn't have much of a choice. We set her up down there with a live-in helper, someone from out of town who didn't know the place's history. At first, it was fine. Wedding prep kept everyone busy. Then, 2 days before the wedding, the groom backed out, just like that. No explanation. It devastated my family, especially my parents, and almost immediately after that, my grandma's health went downhill, fast. We moved her back upstairs with us, and when the helper came to collect her final paycheck, she said something that still gives me chills. She told my mom, "That apartment, you shouldn't have rented it." Now keep in mind, this woman had no clue what had happened there before, no idea someone had died in that bedroom. But she said, "There's something wrong with the bedroom and bathroom. I never felt alone in there, like something heavy was always watching me." Then she added something else. She said my grandmother, who was still sharp for her age, had started saying strange things. At night, she'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling and whisper, "Why are you here again? Go away. Leave this place." When they'd take her to the bathroom, she'd glance behind them, like she was seeing something or someone. We moved her out as soon as we could, sent her back to the village where she was happiest. But a few months later, her condition worsened and she passed away. Even after all that, my parents still live in our original flat above. They've never experienced anything directly, but weirdly enough, life's never really gone smoothly since we moved in. Financial hits, family tension, like a cloud hanging over us. Could be life, could be that apartment below. A new family moved into that downstairs unit a couple of years ago. Recently, the woman, the wife, mentioned something strange to my mum. She said one day she heard the water running in the bathroom, went in to check, and the moment she turned the faucet off, she felt someone behind her. Not imagine, like really close. She swore someone grabbed her wrist, said it felt cold and tight. When she spun around, no one was there. She ran out and didn't sleep for 2 nights. She also said since they moved in, their business has been failing and her personal life's been a mess. My mum asked if she knew the apartment's history. She nodded and said, "Yeah, we were told. We even did prayers before moving in, but still." She looked tired, like she'd been drained of something. I don't know what's really down there. I've never experienced it myself, but I believe something's wrong with that apartment. Some places, they just hold on to pain, and sometimes they pass it on.